Alright, so we're going to try to continue our discussion from yesterday when we're looking at different applications involving Pythagorean theorem. But specifically today, we're going to look at something called Pythagorean triples. Alright? This idea I'm sure you probably haven't looked at before. So remember, as you go through the video, pause, back up, try to digest some of the stuff I'm saying as much as you need to. Alright? Take good notes from this right now. The definition of Pythagorean triples. 3 whole numbers that satisfy the Pythagorean theorem. Alright, real big emphasis here. Whole numbers. Not decimals, not fractions. They've got to be whole numbers. So 3 whole numbers that satisfy the Pythagorean theorem. Do you know any of those? Have you ever come across 3 whole numbers that work in the Pythagorean theorem? Alright, I don't know if you've done much with it. For me, I know a lot of them because, I've taught math for a long time, so there's a lot of them I've come across. Probably the most popular or easiest one to remember is 3, 4, 5. Alright, the numbers 3, 4, 5 work in the Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. If I add those together, I get 25, which is 5 squared. So, first thing, I'd love to see you memorize and just remember that 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triple. There are many, many other Pythagorean triples, like an infinite number of them. Alright, obviously you can't memorize all of them, but there are many of them. Alright, now what's kind of interesting about Pythagorean triples, and this really goes along with what we've talked about in the previous chapter, if I take 3, 4, 5 and I multiply them all by the same number, 6, 8, and 10 are a Pythagorean triple. Alright, 6 squared, 36, 8 squared, 64, 10 squared, 100. I'm multiplying by 3. 9, 12, 15 is a Pythagorean triple. And you can do that for any multiple of these. Why? Because they're all similar. They all have the same ratio. Alright, so their angles have to be the same. Obviously, if their angles are the same, then they have a right angle in them. So we call this a family. Alright, this is the 3, 4, 5 family. Anything that you multiply 3, 4, and 5 by and get a new triple, that's a family. Okay? There are an infinite number of families as well. I mean, it's not just 3, 4, 5s that give you Pythagorean triples. There's all kinds of different families. So the main purpose of this video is to help you try to figure out how do I create my own Pythagorean triple family. Alright? If I don't know a Pythagorean triple, how can I create a Pythagorean triple that I can use? Alright, so a couple easy steps. Ready? Step number 1, I want you to start with any odd number. You don't have to use the one I use right now. Start with any odd number. Okay? So if I write down the number in blue right now, that's part of my Pythagorean triple. So 7 is part of my triple. That's an odd number. Now I'm going to square the 7. Alright, so 7 squared is 49. If I write something in red, that's not part of my triple. It's just kind of helping me get to my triple. So 7 squared is 49. Now, here's kind of the tricky part. I want you to find 2 numbers right next to each other, 2 consecutive whole numbers that add up to 49. Alright, can you figure out what those 2 would be are? Alright, if you have a hard time with that, just use your calculator and divide 49 by 2. You'll always get a decimal with 0.5 in it. The whole number that comes before that and the whole number that comes after that would be your 2 consecutive numbers, 24 and 25. Notice those are in blue. So what am I saying? I'm saying that your Pythagorean triple is 7, 24, 25. You can test it if you want. Check it out. Put in the Pythagorean theorem and see if I'm right about that. Alright, so if you have to, go back and listen to these steps again. Or try one with your own. See if it works. But here, you can see right now, 7 squared is 49. 24 squared is 576. And 25 squared is 625. For those of you who don't know all your squares as well as I do. Alright, that works out. You add them up. 625 equals 625. That is a family right there. 7, 24, 25 is a family of triples. So, you could take multiples of those and those would be triples. Okay? What I want you to do right now is I want you to practice this method at least one time. Okay? I'm going to ask you to push pause here in a second. Go through this method and create your own triple right now. Create your own family. Alright? So, press pause now. Try to get it figured out. Work with a partner if you have to. Alright. So, hopefully you got that figured out. What kind of question am I going to ask, on the test, on the quiz? But maybe you didn't figure it out. So here you go. I'll try another one for you, okay? 9's my odd number. Alright? I'm going to square 9. I get 81. Alright? Remember, I can't figure out what two numbers add up to 81. So I divide it by 2. Alright? I get 40 and a half. So my two numbers, one that comes before, one that comes after, 40 and 41. So there's another triple. I'm just giving you triples here, people. Write them down. Alright? There are tons of them out there. You already know 3. 3, 4, 5, 7, 24, 25, 9, 40, 41. Alright, hopefully you're alright with this. If not, go back, try it some more. Okay, so, like I was saying, what kind of question am I going to ask on a quiz or a test? It's not going to be just create a triple for me. What I'm going to ask is something like, I want you to find 3 different Pythagorean triples, all of which contain some number. Alright? So in this case, let's find 3 Pythagorean triples that contain the number 15. Alright, so 15 is a part of each of those triples. So how are you going to do this? Again, if you think you know, press pause, try to figure it out. But if not, I'll walk you through it. We know that 15 is an odd number, right? So if 15 is an odd number, I can create a family with it. Alright, 15 squared is 225. The two numbers that add up to equal 225 consecutively are 112, 113. Okay? So there's a triple. Now that's the only triple that's the only triple that 15 is the head of the family for. Alright? How do I find any other triple that 15 would work in? Well, is 15 a multiple of some other odd number? Alright? Is there another family that 15 would be a part of? Alright? Can you think of some factor of 15 that's odd? Alright, well, 3 and 5 both go into 15, right? So if 3 goes into 15, then 15 is a part of the 3, 4, 5 family. Right? 3 squared is 9, 4 plus 5 equals 9, but I don't see 15 there. So how do I get 15? Well, I have to multiply those 3 numbers by something so that 15 shows up. What could you multiply 3, 4, or 5 by to get a similar triangle? Alright, I'd multiply 3, 4, and 5 by 5. Alright, 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. There's another triple that 15 is a part of. Again, you can always check these. If you're not sure if they work or not, check them. Alright, put them in Pythagorean theorem. Alright, if you notice though, there's a 5 there as well, so I could actually multiply those by 3. And I could actually get 9, 12, and 15. That's also a triple that 15 is a part of. You could have created the family that started with 5, because 5 is an odd number. That also would be another option here. So that's the kind of question I'm going to ask you to do on a test. Alright? Do you think you understand that? I mean, if not, again, pause, rewind, go through those steps again. Alright? Thinking about how you would create these different families that you know 15 is a part of. Alright? And again, here's that other option that I talked about, how you could be part of the 5 family. Remember, every odd number is the head of its own family. Alright? So, I'd like you to practice this a little bit. Okay? I'd like you to try to find 3 Pythagorean triples that 75 is a part of. Alright? 3 different triples that you could find 75 in. Alright? So, if you would, pause now and come back in a little bit. Alright? If you have to work with a partner, that's fine. Alright? If you can do it by yourself, that's fine too. Alright? I'll see you in a minute. So, you were able to come up with it? Here's what I come up with. 75 is odd. So I'm always going to start. If it's an odd number, I'm always going to start with that one. So 75 squared is 5,625. But you didn't know that squared number either. I know, I'm a geek. All right, I know this stuff. So what two numbers add up to 5,625? Well, if I divide it by 2, it's 2,812.5. So it must be 2,812, 2,813. That's my first triple. That's the only triple that 75 creates a family of. Now I'm going to have to find other odd numbers that go into 75. Can you think of other odd numbers that go into 75? Here's a bunch of factor pairs. 1 and 75, 3 and 25, 5 and 15. Man, there's all kinds of odd numbers there. Choose one. Choose an odd number. All right. I love 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5 is the easiest of all of the Pythagorean triples. So I would start with my number 3 there. All right. You could also choose the number 5. All right. So 5 family is 5, 12, 13. All right. I don't see 75 there. So what do I have to do? I have to times 5, 12, and 13 by 15 so that it creates 75, 180, 195. All right. That's my next Pythagorean triple. I need to do one more. Again, I got multiple choices here, but like I said, I love the 3, 4, 5 family. It's easy. You should know it by now. We've used it a bunch of times. If I multiply all those numbers by 25, I'm going to get 75, 100, 125. All right? I hope you get this idea. I hope it's starting to make sense. If not, rewind, go back, try it again. Okay? For homework, you're going to work on a little bit of stuff from yesterday's material and a little bit of stuff from this Pythagorean triple. So work on this. Get some practice doing it. Be prepared to ask questions tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow morning before school. Help you out with anything that you need extra time with. All right? So those problems from the book, 3 through 29 odd. And then let's do these triple problems. Let's do it for 3 different numbers. 25, 42, and 72. All right? We'll see you tomorrow.